Alright folks, welcome back to another raid video, and we've had a bunch of new champions released. All the skills are now available to see, so I'm just going to jump straight into this video because I don't want it to be too long, because we've got so many champions and some of them are amazing. So the first 6 champions are actually going to be the new Doom Tower champions like it says here, so we'll cover them first and then we'll go on to the fusion and all that kind of stuff. So without further ado, let's just crack on with it. So we've got this one called Taya first. She is another Shadowkin, another Void one, another attack. And she's actually pretty interesting. So our A1 attacks an enemy, has a 60% when booked chance of placing a 50% decrease accuracy. So decrease accuracy is actually pretty good nowadays. It's quite a good debuff, so that's not too bad. The A2 attacks 3 times. Each hit has a 100% when booked chance of placing a poison for 2 turns. So, you know, a 3 hitting skill that does 3 poisons, that's a really good skill, you know, especially on 100%. Void affinity as well, so no weak hits. Attacks one enemy on the A3, has a 75 but 100% chance when booked of instantly activating any poison and HP burn debuffs on the target. Also has a 100% chance of placing the heal reduction for 2 turns. So this is the first time we've seen this, so we've seen quite a few champions in the game, Xavia, Alanerol, all this kind of stuff that can do poison blow up skills. But this is the first time we've seen one, I think, in my recollection, that he does poison and HP burn blow up together, so that's pretty fun. The only thing, I guess, is, you know, when you're doing that poison blow up, you're kind of wanting to max the amount of poisons that's on there. So it's not like you can get another 10 HP burn on there as well, but definitely an interesting champ. So that's going to be the Void champion from the Doom Tower for the epics. Next we have Gwyneth, a magic dark elf attack champion again. The A1 actually is an AoE, and this attack will not trigger counter attacks, which is pretty interesting actually. There's actually a lot of skills in these new champions that are fairly unique and pretty new, so it's quite exciting. So again, this A1, yeah, we've not seen that before, really cool, I like it a lot. It's got a ton of damage on it actually, so you've got 4 books straight into damage. In fact, that's one thing we forgot to check. How many books does Taya need? She needs 5, 10, 14 books, which is way too many, Plarium, way too many. This girl here, she is needing a lot of books. She's needing 6, 12, 16 books. She loves to read. Yeah, she is going to be a pain in the ass to book. And it looks like they've hidden stuff like, yeah. I mean, that's a lot of damage though. That's a hell of a lot of damage. So that A1, potentially with that much damage in the books, could do some sort of blender composition, I guess. Pretty cool. Anyway, the A2 basic attacks one enemy before attacking. Okay, let's not even read the basic because we're going to ascend her. Attacks one enemy before attacking, has an 80% chance of placing a 25% weaken on the target for 2 turns, heals this champion by 30% of the target inflicted, then heals all allies with any surplus heal. Okay, so like an attacker that does a ton of damage and heals off it. So far, a very interesting champion. Transfers all debuffs on the A3 from this champion to one target enemy, then attacks that enemy. Ignores 10% of the target's defense for each debuff they're under. Cool, so I mean, it's all hitting single targets. Be interesting to see what her multipliers are like. She might be quite fun. Yeah, it's hard to say. I'm actually quite excited by this A1. That's quite interesting. So that's actually going to be really useful for people that are struggling with certain Doom Tower runs or even faction wars, especially when you've got like Valkyries in there and they don't have a good block buffs champion, because this is a pretty good way of dealing with the counter attacks. Increases speed by 25% in Doom Tower battle, so that's cool. Now on to the main event. We've got Dark Kale here. Check him out, he looks pretty cool. So everyone's going to want to pull Dark Kale, or should I say Kyle, which is apparently what he's called now. So he's got an A1, attacks one enemy 3 times. Each hit has a 25% chance to instantly activate 2 poison debuffs or 1 poison debuff and an HP burn debuff. So looks like they're combining poison and HP burn, which is pretty cool, to instantly activate them. That is really interesting actually. If you've got champions that can just pile on the poisons, I guess, on the clan boss and then just keep activating them with Dark Kyle and just keep laying them back on. This could be quite interesting. I like this. He doesn't need to read too much, which is good. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11 books, which is, yeah, that's like the low end nowadays. I would like to see most champions max out at 10, but that's never going to happen. Attacks one enemy, yeah, we've done that. Attacks all enemies in the A2 has a 75% chance of placing a decrease attack buff, 50%, for 2 turns. Each critical hit also has a 75% chance of increasing the duration of all debuffs on the target by 1 turn. Ooh, this is pretty nasty actually. So you've got like a blow up poison ability on here. You've got an ability here that effectively does something like a Vizier. So you're increasing debuff, so that is poisons. And then on the A3 here, it actually places 3 poisons, debuffs, and the poison sensitivity debuff for 2 turns. And the fact that it's just placing means it won't weak hit. So this guy is going to be probably the best poisoner in the game now. Decreases the crit rate of enemies under 2 or more poisons by 15%. If there are multiple champions, it only activates once. So that's quite interesting. Lowering the crit rate is always pretty useful. 50% is the max you can do. Well, I think he is cool. I think he's definitely the coolest of the epics by far. They had to make Dark Kael cool because he's got big shoes to fill. He looks pretty sweet as well. I've seen his skin. He looks really cool. So yeah, that's him. Pretty excited about that one. So we'll go on to the legendaries now. Now, I think I'm most excited about Dark Kael actually. This guy, Varl the Destroyer. He's an orc, looks pretty mental. It kind of looks like it's ripping off the guy in Lord of the Rings, you know, the general that I can't actually remember his name now. Everyone will call me on this, I'm sure. But yeah, the general that won at the start of the battles. But yeah, he kind of looks like that. He's got an A1 here, Ravaging Leech, attacks one enemy, heals his champion by 30% of damage inflicted. He needs 13 books in total, it looks like. Attacks all enemies in the A2. He is an attack-based champion. He has 100% when booked, chance of placing weaken. Also places decreased attack for all those enemies who receive a weakened debuff. Okay, it's just a kind of strange way of wording it. You would expect to just say place, weaken, and decrease attack, but the way it reads, he has to place the weaken, and then he can place decreased attack, otherwise he won't. So that doesn't seem that great actually. You know what I mean? But yeah, we'll see what the rest of his kit is. Attacks one enemy, will ignore 30% of the target's defense, decreases the target's max HP by 50% of the damage inflicted. So that's a lot. That is a hell of a lot. This guy's going to be a monster for the Scarab boss. Places a block damage buff on this champion for 1 turn if this attack kills an enemy. Okay. Increases the champion's attack by 10% each time they use an active skill. Oh wow. That's quite an interesting. So like his kit was seeming a little bit strange, but that passive increases this champion's attack by 10% each time they use an active skill. Stacks up to 100%, resets each round. Okay. Yeah, Scarab boss is where I see him destroying people actually. He's definitely a PvE champion. I wouldn't use him in PvP, but pretty interesting. I like to see him. Vassal of the Seal, so he's a forced HP demon spawn, so we don't have a lot of HP legendaries in demon spawn. I think it's Mortu Macabre is the other one. This guy looks amazing, by the way. I saw him in the promo video. He looks cool. Super sort of Sauron demon spawn looking dude. So he's got an A1 that attacks one enemy and places an HP burn debuff on the target for 2 turns if they're under a true fear or decrease attack debuff, so I'm assuming he does that later. Also places a shield on this champion for 2 turns equal to 10% of their max HP. Cool, so very similar actually, Duchess, but can actually put the HP burn down as well, which is pretty damn good. And we all know Duchess is a good ability, and he's HP base, so he's going to have a lot of HP. His A2 attacks all enemies with a 100% chance when booked with placing true fear and decrease attack, so that was expected with this A1. So the A3 balances the HP of all allies. The HP levels of all allies will be brought to the ally with the highest HP. After balancing HP, grants an extra turn. 4 turn cooldown when booked. He needs 6 to 12 books altogether. Let's just look at his passive first. So receive 20% less damage from champions from the Bannerlord, High Elf and Sacred Order factions. If there are 2 or more Demon Spawn champions on the team alongside this champion, increases crit damage of all Demon Spawn by 20%. So Looks like he'll be a monster for faction wars, because obviously you're going to be with demon spawn. He's got the big aura for HP. How do I feel about this guy? Not totally sure yet, to be honest. It's a kind of strange kit. I'll have to see this play out. I mean, that's a pretty strong ability. That's a lot of healing right there. The fact that you get an extra turn too is on a 3-turn cooldown then effectively, but you're also lowering these cooldowns. So I think he's going to cycle his stuff pretty quick. If he's putting True Fears on as well. This ability here, that's similar to, I think it's Cardale or something. There's another champion that has this, but against... in fact, I'm pretty sure, is it not Cardale that has it the exact opposite for like demon spawn and stuff? So maybe this is like Cardale's nemesis. It's a shame they don't have flavor text or like some, you know, lore about the champions. Hopefully it'd be quite cool to read something, say that he's supposed to be fighting Cardale, I guess. But yeah, that's that guy, so he's pretty damn cool. And then this is the final legendary we're getting from the Doom Tower, the next run. So we've got the Basatha. I keep thinking Bantha from Star Wars. Hopefully they're trying to copy Lord of the Rings and Star Wars here. Kind of looks a little bit like a scary Bantha actually. Anyway, so we've got a magic HP again, a Lizardman. Okay, that's quite interesting. A death roll on the A1. Ooh, he needs a lot of books by the looks of it. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14 books. So he reads a lot, unfortunately. Attacks when enemy has a 40% chance of placing decreased attack for 2 turns. So 60% when booked. Yeah, there's better out there. But it's decreased attack. Good for clan boss. Places 25% strengthen and continuous heal on all allies for 2 turns. Also places a shield buff for 2 turns, equal to 25% of this champion's HP on allies under fear. Okay, that's quite interesting. Yeah, that seems a bit too situational. I would places the shield, but they have to be under fear. True fear, freeze, provoke, sleep, or stun debuff. So most of the time it's just going to be a continuous heal and a strengthen, which on a legendary, yeah, I'm not sure if that's that great. Attacks all enemies on the A3, has a 100% chance when booked to place a stun for 1 turn and decrease in turn meter by 30%. So that's a strong ability. That is that's really solid actually. It'll be interesting to see how hard this guy hits, I think, because he is HP based. HP guys can hit pretty hard, but they survive well. And he's got a passive, whenever an enemy is revived, has a 75 or 100% chance of placing a stun on them for 1 turn. This effect cannot be resisted or blocked. Wow. Okay, he just shot up massively with that ability, so he's got a slightly lower than a lot of the other HP legendaries, 31% instead of 33 aura. This passive though, wow. Whenever an enemy is revived, an unresistible stun goes straight on them. I like it, and it's 100% chance. He is magic. Yeah, I like it a lot actually. He's going to be quite an interesting champ. I was thinking his kit was a little bit lackluster, but then this is a solid ability, and then that is just nuts. And then, yeah, very, very interesting. I'll definitely would like to pull this guy and play with him, especially being HP based, very unique. So that is all the Doom Tower champions just now, so pretty cool. I think it's better than last time, I believe. Yeah, I mean, especially the epics, they look awesome. Dark Kale is insane, and I really do quite like this guy. These two, I'm gonna have to see them in action first. They're both really interesting champs in terms of how you use them. I think all the champions here are pretty unique. But this is us onto the actual new champions that we're just getting with this fusion. So this guy at the top here, he is actually just a champion they're adding into the game. So this isn't anything to do with the fusion. This is just one of those champs that they've thrown into the game. And I'm calling it, I'm pretty sure if this guy's, well, I'm 100% sure if this guy's multipliers are good, this guy is going to be the new nuker in Arena. He is nuts. I feel they finally need something like this. Someone to go up there with Trunda and Ethos and all that. This guy looks absolutely insane. If I'm getting it wrong, please leave in the comments below. But the way I read this champion, this is the one I've looked at the most so far. He just looks insane. So let's just cover him right now. So he's a Void, legendary, Skinwalkers, really cool skin. I don't have the test server, but I've seen videos with the test server already, and he looks badass. So check out some of them if you can. Love the Skinwalker faction anyway. So he's got an A1 here that attacks 2 times. Each hit has a 60% chance of placing the big decreased defense, but damage increases by 20% if the target has less than 60% HP. That's going to smack hard, that, because it's a 2-hitter. It's got 3 straight up damage books, 30% damage on top of it, a good chance of placing decreased defense, but an extra 20% damage if they're less than 60% HP. So this is going to finish people off pretty well. The A2 attacks all enemies 2 times. I like it, nice and simple. Passive effect on the ability though, this champion is immune to stun, freeze, sleep, provoke, fear and true fear debuffs when this skill is not on cooldown. So as long as you don't use this first, or if the other team goes before you, say, he can't be stunned, he can't be frozen by Tormund, he can't be slept by Kymar, he can't be provoked by Krisk, he can't be true feared by Mashal. That is insane. That's a proper insane ability. So like a go second nuker, this guy's, you know, unbelievably strong, especially if you have someone like Necrit. I mean, with this ability here, that's going to be hitting so hard. If you team him up with Necrit and give him some, you know, survivability, this guy's going to be a nightmare to deal with. And we're not even on to the good stuff yet. So his A3 attacks all enemies, has a 100% chance when booked of placing True Fear for 1 turn. Also, before attacking, has another 100% chance when booked of placing Weaken on all enemies for 2 turns. So I think you're going to be wanting to build this guy for damage, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm not sure if you'll be building him with enough accuracy to make this that relevant. So that's a little bit funny, but look at this passive though, absolutely insane. So instantly places an unkillable buff on this champion when receiving a fatal hit. So it's Skull Crown, he's just legendary Skull Crown, but so much better. But then he also has a passive effect, which is, well, it's like kind of like the Fury set, but I think the Fury set reads differently. This guy just gets a straight up 1% for every 1% of HP loss. So if this actually triggers, he's going to have 99% more damage on the counter attack as opposed to Skull Crown just hitting hard. Also, crit rate in all battles is really good, especially 24%. If you're going in a go second team, which I think this guy looks like he's built for, get that extra 24% crit rate and you can push more stuff into crit damage, attack, all that kind of stuff. I've seen his base stats. So his base stats is about 1.45k attack, reasonably good health, but lowish defense. Might be a little bit squishy, but I think if this guy's multipliers are good, especially with a 2-hit and A2 that you can clean up with once he's, you know, resisted all this kind of stuff, I think he's going to be one of the top arena nukers now, especially the fact he's void as well, so he can hit everyone. He just looks like he does it all. The only thing I'm questioning is like if you're going to need the accuracy to actually do this, because True Fear is a good debuff. It would be nice to land it, but you might be better just going full savage, as much damage as you can and just blowing them up because he's immune to stuff. And pair him with Necrit. Yeah, this guy's going to be crazy. Everyone's going to want him, I can guarantee it. And he's Lion, that's pretty damn cool. So we've got Mother Sibyl next. I've already kind of gone through her. Everyone's seen her because she is the actual fusion champion. You all know I actually quite like her. A lot of people are saying she's not going to be very good. They might be right. She might be terrible, but I like the look of her kit. She looks really interesting, and she does have 115 base speed, so that is definitely something to think about. So she might end up being pretty damn good. So definitely keep an eye on Mother Sibyl. I'm not going to go through all the epics just because I don't want the video to be super long, but there's 2 in particular that look extremely interesting, so you can read through all these yourself. I'll link the page here on the description below. So Canella, she does look really cool. She like puts sleeps on and then they disappear and can potentially turn into fear, so really cool champion. But the 2 I really want to go through are actually, no, it's not this guy, he looks pretty cool too, is these 2 down here. So we've got Tolf the Maimed. This guy's kit is crazy. So he attacks one enemy 2 times, each hit heals the champion by 30% of the damage inflicted. This attack cannot be critical. Again, the A2, this attack cannot be critical, so we've not seen that. So he can't crit, and he's HP based, so there's 0 point building any crit rate and crit damage on this guy at all. So his A2 though attacks one enemy when not attacking bosses, inflicts pure damage and decreases the target's HP to 50%. So, I mean, it reads weird because like if it said max HP to 50%, but like decreases the target's HP to 50% is just dealing half damage. but then it's still doing pure damage. I don't really know how that works. If it said max HP, that would make sense, because you could deal a ton of damage and also reduces max HP. Inflicts damage based on this champion's max HP instead, and places a stun debuff for 1 turn if the target already has less than 50% HP. So I wonder if that means it just reduces it to 50% HP, then does a ton of damage, and if he's already there, it places a stun debuff, and it's based on his max HP. It's very confusing the way this is worded. Inflicts damage based on this champion's max HP when attacking bosses. So you just want to stack his HP as high as humanly possible. Attack cannot be critical again. He's got this interesting passive too. Decreases the value of all enemy shield buffs by 50% at the start of every turn. Then increases his max HP by the same amount, up to 25% of their max HP. So I need to play with this. I mean, this guy just needs to be tested. I'll be really interested to see what the level 3 content creators make of this guy on the test server, because yeah, I can't figure him out. He might actually be, I mean, he's single target though, so like he could be great in arena because you're taking off shields and then dealing a ton of damage, and he's hard to kill. But I just don't know. I'm gonna have to see it. No critical hits. That's very interesting. Yeah, this a very unique champion. I like him. That's why I want to cover him. And this guy as well, I really want to cover this champion because this just looks absolutely solid. By the way, I have no idea which of these is the actual fusion champions, but one of these two will be in the fusion because there's 5 epics here and there's only 4 epics for the fusion. So on my free-to-play, I don't want Mother Sibyl. She's useless for my free-to-play. I will be getting her on my main account because I like her, but on my free-to-play, whichever one of these guys is in the fusion, I will be going for. Especially this guy. If this guy's in the fusion, then 1,000,000%, I think most people should probably just go for this dude. So basic attacks one enemy 3 times, attacks 1 enemy 3 times. So the basic attacks 3 times, each hit has a 25% chance of placing a big poison, which actually books up to 45%, is that right? That seems crazy, that's really good. 30, yep, 45% on a 3 hitting for poisons, that's nuts. Removes all debuffs from an ally, then heals them by 40% of their max HP. So he's just a beefed up Skull Crown at this point. He's, you know, cleanse and target HP, which is even better than Skull Crowns, and he's got a much better A1 because he does 3 instead of 2, and I believe more chance. Then his A3 just straight up places 3 poison debuffs on all enemies for 2 turns, also places 2 continuous heals. And then, just to top it off, he's got ally speed in all battles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 books. Solid. This guy is nuts. Everyone wants him. I want him for my clan boss team on my free-to-play account, 1,000,000%. He does have really good stats as well. I've seen them too, so that is awesome. Now, there are a bunch of rares here. I'm not going to go through all them. Again, if you want to check them all out, just look in the links below. But there's one other champion just randomly thrown in, another Void Skinwalker legendary here, so very interesting. This guy's like a fox, he's pretty cool. He's one of these kind of hybrid attacker, debuffer type champions, which I've got a few of now. Looks like 5, 10, 13 books on him, so again, it's pretty rubbish. You don't ever see legendaries with less than 10 now, which is a shame. So attacks 1 enemy, has a 50% chance of placing the big decreased defense debuff, 100% chance of placing it when for 2 turns on the target before attacking if they're under an HP burn debuff. So 100% chance if they're on, that is actually a pretty good A1 because you don't really see that very often on 100%. He's got an A2 obviously that puts on HP burns for 3 turns, which is huge. Also has a 75%, 100% when booked chance of placing a stun debuff on targets with 50% turn meter or more, 75 decreased speed. Alright, so if they've got more than 50% turn meter, he stuns them. If they've got less, he puts decreased speed on, plus HP burns them. That's a really good ability actually. Attacks 1 enemy in the A3, damage increases by 40% for each active HP burn debuff, up to 400%. Wow. Has a 100% chance of decreasing their turn meter as well. And another 15%. Okay, so for Spider, that guy's just nuts. You'll just fully deplete their turn meter do a bunch of damage. Yep, 400%, that's a lot. I'd really be interested to see how hard that actually hits the spider. Especially on like Spider 25 now, that's going to be really quite an interesting ability. Whenever an ally receives a freeze, so yeah, I did actually read this passive, so this is one of the most interesting passives they've had in the game for a long time. Whenever an ally receives a freeze, has a 50%, it can't be booked anymore, chance of just replacing it with an HP burn that can't be blocked or removed. Whenever an ally or enemy is under an HP burn debuff, this champion is immune to basically all status effects, similar to the other Void legendary Skinwalker dude, so that's pretty nuts. I love the fact that you can just turn freezes into HP burns, because they are much easier to deal with, you know, especially against like a Tormund. That's a really cool champion to have. So I do like this guy. I still think out of them all, the most excited I am is to see how well this dude performs in Arena, because hopefully he can dethrone Trunda for a while. We need a new top nuker, or someone up there, you know, someone that's... You wouldn't want to see him maybe hit as hard as Trunda, because his kit's so much better than Trunda's, and he's got an amazing Skull Crown ability built into him. You don't need to put him in Swift Parry at all. This guy's insane, actually. Proper insane, I think, anyway. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Let me know about the other champions, anyone specifically you would like to go for. But yeah, that's the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day. Peace.